All right, welcome everybody to our latest Live Motocross podcast as we talk all things pro motocross ahead of Unadilla and look back on Ironman with the great man Jeff Beaver from Whiskey Throttle Media. Obviously, firstly, thank you to everyone for listening and supporting these podcasts and the website. It's greatly appreciated. We'd also like to thank our sponsors in Fly Racing, Firepower, Dirt Store, and Fuchs Silkaline for all their incredible support, as without them, none of this would be possible. All right, how's life, Jeff? Thanks for joining us, mate. Been an absolutely hauling weekend at Ironman. Super hot, lots of drama. Certainly a busy one, mate. You were crushing the content, but good to get you back on after that couple week break from Pro Motocross.
Yeah, it was good to get back, but man, what a strange turn of events. Did not have that one on my radar. Yeah, the whole thing was really it was just freaking hot. I spent the day before I flew out there down at San Onofre, which is a surf break here in Southern California, famous surf break, and Jeremy Albrecht, the AMA guy, used to be Bubba's mechanic back when he was on Kawasaki. He's been doing this event for 26 years. And so I like to go film the surf day. You know, there's one day of moto at Paula on a Tuesday and Wednesday's surf day. Well, kiss my ass. I'm not going to Paula on a Tuesday to film the Dust Bowl motocross in 100-degree weather in August. You can kiss my ass. I've got Ethan for that. He's 20 years old and dumb enough to listen to me. So I go out there and film the surf. Loving it, dude. 75 degrees, no humidity, chicks in bikinis. It was sick. I land in Indianapolis, walk out of the airport, get in my rental car, and I go to my buddies, and I get out with my buddies, and I go to sit down in the chair outside, and I go, oh man, Friday and Saturday are gonna absolutely suck, dude. I'm not doing it. I don't know why I put myself through this shit.
Oh man, look brutal. Even like all the media, the riders, everyone was saying how savage it was, mate. And then you're hauling all that camera gear around. But at least I guess the racing and the drama certainly delivered, didn't it, mate? How was it from that side of things with the filming and just hauling around that gear all day, mate, in that heat? It must have been a challenge for everyone.
Well, we had one of our uh, colleagues. He worked for some Virgin Media. They call him Pork Chop. Big old boy like me, but a lot younger than me. But I don't think he hydrated properly, and dude, he didn't look good after the second set of motos. Like to the point where I'm like, hey man, are you still sweating? And kind of checking him out, because if you stop sweating, you better get emergency medical immediately. And he was still sweating, and so we kind of peeped on him, checked him out, make sure he was good. But yeah, I mean, we almost had a guy who almost needed to go to medical, and I had to give him like kind of a tutorial on proper hydrating and preparing for heat and all that stuff. And I gave him some element, which is a supplement we have here. There's sodium, potassium, and magnesium, none of the bullshit in there. And I said, start hydrating with this shit on Wednesday, and then Thursday, and then Friday, and then by the time you get to race day, take one Saturday morning and then drink a bunch of water and maybe have another one. Then you'll be good, because if you just pound water and water and you lost all those minerals out of your body, it ain't doing you no good. You're just filling a void, right? So yeah, it was sketchy. So I can imagine, just being, a meathead filmer like me, or Pork Chop or one of the other guys. We're all out there getting smoked carrying a 15-pound camera around. I mean, oh boo-hoo, poor us, freaking pussies. How is it for Jett and Hunter and Eli to go mock Jesus around the track like that twice in the same day? I can't even imagine, dude. Hunter was so hot after the second moto that before he went up, he took 2 cans of water and poured them in his Alpine Stars, then put his boots on
Wow.
just to cool
Crazy.
off, which was really smart because your feet, your ankles, your wrists is where you want to cool off. A guy passed out in the crowd at the podium during the second 250 moto, I think it was. Shit, we had to take all the water and get it over to him and get medical to him, and yeah, he collapsed. It was that hot. That was the first person in the crowd I've seen go down.
Wow,
Yeah, I
man.
guess he wasn't a drinker. He's just hot.
Yeah, it sounded brutal, mate. And obviously, talking of brutal, that track looked like it was pretty challenging too, mate, creating a lot of chaos. They made a few changes that sort of divided opinion a bit. A lot of the, sections they put that sawdusty stuff on, and A lot of the riders sort of didn't really seem to enjoy that much. Not that many positives from the things they did with the track, but that wood section with the shadows, the ruts, the visions, rocks in parts. So much diversity in different sections to challenge these dudes. How was it from your perspective too? Did having the extra, WMX racing affect the track prep or anything like that? Or how was it all from your point of view?
I was bummed that they took the big step ups out of Godzilla just because that jump was sick. If they were going to do it for the Euros, for the MXGP guys, I'd have left Godzilla. It's just a big jump, dude, and all those guys can sack up and hit a jump. The thing that I think they need to change at Ironman is that rhythm lane after the covered bridge. That thing is so sketch. Yeah, I mean, it's a supercross style, is supercross caliber rhythm lane with outdoor motocross suspension, and that Aussie who's on Club MX, what's his name?
Reed Taylor.
Yeah, that fucker tried to kill me, dude. He 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 went off of it, and instead of making the kind of right dog leg to the sand rollers, he went straight. And guess whose fat ass was standing right there? I was. But my Beverly Hills Ninja skills got in the way, and I Chris Farley'd my way out of that shit, and uh, had to change my underwear between motos. They're pretty well fouled, and but yeah, I mean, I know he didn't mean to, but I'm sure he was just like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna hit that thing." I was like seeing a cow out in front of you when you're going down the highway, like this is gonna hurt for both of us. So and that section kind of sucked, but otherwise the track was really really good. That jump that Chase crashed went off of and ended up looping out. That thing is so soft on the face. If you look at Jett, if you go back and watch the motos, Jett always kind of shot off to the right hand side, and that thing is just so damn soft. I think they jam into the face of that so hard that there's just debris coming up in, and I think that's what locked his wheel up. In personal opinion. I mean, I may change it after I watch the motos a little more, but from the videos I've seen and watching those guys slam in, that's always been my thought on that jump is like, how are they not like jamming shit into their calipers and stuff like that? I know they got a fork guard, but you're slamming in that hard. Those fork guards are only attached at like two little points, so you can jam shit in there really easy. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was what happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're spot on with that, mate. I think the KTM released a statement about it, how it was debris, nothing to do with the bike or the rider. So, yeah, it was crazy, mate. And I guess before we get on to all that drama from the 450s, just give us your take on the 250s, mate. Obviously, Deegan, he confirmed that 450 step before this race, which is pretty awesome. Everyone sort of knew it was going to happen, but yeah, cool to get it locked in and then dominated 1-1 on the weekend, mate. Super great fitness, super great riding. Line selection was dialed. Him and Joe were sort of the best of the bunch as they have been lately. So just your rundown on the 250s, mate. Deegs was racking together some big rhythms too, wasn't he?
Yeah, Deegan is back on another level. I mean, the last couple of rounds, everyone's like, oh, this and that. It's like, dude, he messed his leg up pretty bad, dude. I think he's kind of back to where he should be. No knock at Joe, and Joe's absolutely phenomenal. Daniel was talking about this yesterday when we were doing the main event moto podcast, but he was like 50 seconds ahead of everybody else. If you remove Deegan and Tom from the equation, he has no excuse but to just rail everybody next year. And from what it sounds like, he's going back to Honda, which is good because if he went to another team, I see him going into reserve Joe mode and chilling out and then taking time to get back going. And I really, really think he should stay at Honda, and hopefully he does, because I don't see how he can't win a Supercross title and a national title next year if he's healthy. And he's just cool as shit. I just want to see him win. Joe's cool. When he came off the podium after the first moto, I've been joking with him about Lot B since that day at Redbud, and when he came off the podium, I don't stand in that crowd of meatheads trying to get all the photos of the people on the podium. I don't care about that. So I'm smart enough to go chill under the tents in the back and drink a cold water and rest for a few minutes. And Joe comes walking back. It's just me and Joe, and he looks at me, he smiles, and he goes, "Lot B," and I go, "Yep." I was all, "Just keep fighting, bud." And so that kid is really really cool kid. He's quiet, but once he kind of gets to know you, I think he lets his guard down a little bit, and man, I like him more and more every time I interact with him. So if you don't follow Shimoda, go follow him. He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, and his mechanic Ben Griffiths is an absolute legend as well, isn't he, mate?
Oh yeah, dude. If I woke up and I was Ben, shit, life would be good. No, Ben's cool as hell, dude. He's I don't know about what you Aussies think about doing those shoeies. That's some nasty shit. Because I see what my shoes look like, and you couldn't pay me enough money to pour some champagne in my shoe and drink out of that shit. I'm cool, dude. I guess I'm not that Aussie, dude. I'm a pussy, I guess. But no, that shit ain't gonna fly with me. But otherwise, besides that little flaw, he's pretty rad.
Yeah, a couple of lads built different, but yeah, he's yeah, great career in the sport. Started off in UK, come to Australia, did some stuff with Anderson back in the day, and then now he's yeah, on HRC with Shimoda, so pretty cool career path.
Yeah, yeah, I dig the hell out of him, and another one of you Aussie fuckers that I really like is BMC, Blake McCarthy's Jett Reynolds mechanic. Unfortunately, Jett broke again. I think I'm gonna go find some bulk bubble wrap and mail it to Club and just see if we can get FXR to make him a bubble kit. But apparently that leg that he had the surgery on wasn't quite good enough, and it happened again. So. That really sucks, but it was good to see BMC for a day,
Yeah, man, it's so
see the
brutal for
boys.
Jett Reynolds. These dudes just, yeah, keep copping it. It's tough to see, especially such a talented rider. And, he's done all the work to get back, and then that happens too, mate. It's tough for the team, tough for obviously Reynolds too, mate. We hope he heals up and comes out swinging again next year for Supercross to be looking at. But that team's doing some good things out at Club MX. Obviously, Mike, DB, Haas, all that crew, and obviously cool. Reed Taylor was back, the Aussie. Obviously, you mentioned him just before, and then Voland and Shock doing their thing. So big things happening at Club, isn't it?
Shock, Shock started out pretty good in his motos, but he kind of faded back. I don't know what was going on. I think Voland was pretty impressive. He was running in the top 10. What was his moto score finishes?
Yeah, Volan went 7-8 for seventh, so that's solid.
Hmm. Yeah, he was cooking. I was kind of paying attention to. I like to pay attention to the top 10 right at the beginning of the first moto and then see where everybody ends up. And he seemed to be up front most of the time. I'm like, hell yeah, Max, get some, dude. I can't wait to see that guy get a podium again. It'd be good.
Yeah, he's a bloody talented rider and adjusting to that new bike setup. It's impressive, mate, doing what he's doing. And obviously cool for Vial to get that podium in third there, mate. And obviously Marchbank's fourth. That guy hauls through that pack, doesn't he, mate? He always gets the bad starts usually, but the passing he does is pretty incredible, mate. And obviously Adams getting fifth as well. That's good for Pro Circuit Kawasaki having those two dudes up there.
Yeah, word on the street is Garrett's gonna re-sign with PC, so that's good. I mean, they'd be crazy to let him go, dude. And
Yep.
I was stoked when he hucked that fatty off of the center table at Iron Man. I was like, holy shit! When I went back to look at the footage, I go, oh crap, that was Garrett. I thought it was Drew. Because Drew was throwing down over that too, and I was like, all right, Garrett's feeling it, and he's just running solid, dude. And I wish to shit they would put him on a factory 450 because I think he would be kind of like an RJ Hampshire, just up there tearing crap up. But yeah, he was good and stoked for Drew. I mean, how can you not like the Jolly Green Giant? That kid's great, dude. He's so freaking funny, and the first thing he says to me is, almost beat Seth at golf, dude. Seth Hamaker's, I guess, kind of a ringer at golf and a little bit of a pit bull on the course. Seth comes across as very mild mannered, but you put him on a dirt bike or a golf course and he turns into a little devil apparently. And Drew finished one stroke off of Seth. So that was pretty good. Yeah, that was funny. I like that kid. It's fun to chop it up with him, and he's just a fun kid to be around. But so it's nice seeing those guys having a decent summer.
Yeah, especially for that Kawasaki crew, mate. They've been doing it tough with injuries last few years, especially. And obviously, another one of your buddies down there, Parker Ross, mate, at BarX Yamaha. Awesome to see him getting seventh in that second moto. He had a big one in the first moto, didn't he, mate? But yeah, he keeps going from strength to strength. And a little bit of an off weekend for Schwartz and not the weekend Timbo wanted either, too. But they're doing great things down there, that BarX Yamaha crew, aren't they?
Yeah, BarX is legit, and I don't know what happened to Schwartz. I saw him basically second to last in one of the motos. I think it was the first moto, second moto, and I was like, oh, what the hell happened there? But yeah, Parker. he's been right. When it comes to race day, Parker shows up, right? And he had a get off, said he cartwheeled pretty good in the first moto. And but he's running seventh in the 250 class consistently. As much as I give that little shit crap, he's a badass on the dirt bike, dude. I still think his chick's radder, but uh, he's just killing it, dude. I mean, you can't knock his hustle, dude. And Parker Ross is the real deal.
Yeah, well said, mate. When you're coming ahead of Volan, Harrop, Faulkner, Thrasher, Hammaker, Juju, Ryder D, even Schwartz, like it's no mean feat beating all those dudes, and he's, beating factory guys every weekend, mate. So is there any news on his future for next year too, mate? But either way, the future's bright, isn't
Yeah, I mean, a lot brighter than he is. I don't.
it?
I don't know where he's going, but I don't know if anybody's told him he's not supposed to be beating those factory guys. Not that he would give a shit, but yeah, I think he's in a good place, dude. And Myron and those guys got a good team going. They're really firing on all eight. If you look at BarX from when they switched from the Suzuki's over, I mean they've really come up hard, and and club as well too. Those two teams, they're damn near factory level efforts. I think club's got a little more time in on them, but uh, it's very very impressive what those teams are able to do with the resources they have, and they've got some really good riders, and they're developing them. I think they probably know that Parker's going to get poached in the near future. Sure Bobby Reagan's paying attention. You know.
Yeah, you never know, mate. He's always on the
You know,
pulse of
Bobby's sitting
everything.
there going, "I like that Parker Ross boy."
Yeah, yeah, mate. Well, he's got young Caden Minia recently, the Australian, and they're always sort of adding to that roster, aren't they, mate? So it wouldn't be beyond the realms, would it?
Yeah, I want to see Manir back out there. I like that kid too. He's cool as shit. And Caden Dudney, I don't know when's he supposed to go pro.
Yeah, he'd be on the schedule pretty soon, wouldn't he? Obviously, had that combine on the weekend too, mate. Was there any key takeaways from that for you as well?
Yeah, Timmerman's a badass, dude. That kid's ready to go. And then Gibson, he's having his pro debut at Unadilla, and that guy is an absolute savage. You looked at everybody who came off. You look at Fowler, how he looked when he came off, and the other guy, who was the other guy, Timmerman. They were both pretty worn out. Gibson looked like he could have just went and taken a leak, pounded of water, and went back out and did another moto. That dude's a freak. He's Blair's like, man, that guy is the most fit kid out there. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. And Daniel swears that he's going to be a better pro than he is a an amateur. So I'm really stoked to see what he does, and I hope he kills it for Nate and the team over there at Rockstar, because they're just killer people.
Yeah, well said, mate. Yeah, DB certainly knows all about the amateur scene, that's for sure, mate. So, yeah, definitely believe what he says with that stuff. And on to the 450s, mate. How good was it for Hunter to get that first overall win in the 450s? I believe he's been top five every round overall he's done in 450s, mate. So, eventually got there. Lightning strike cost him earlier in the season. Various different things, just his brother being so awesome a lot of the time. But yeah, he's finally benefited from a bit of the chaos. He usually loses out to it. He made a couple of mistakes himself, but he got there in the end, mate, and much deserved. And I think there was something like he had 10 seconds heading into that one, mate. So awesome for Hunter, awesome for the mechanics, Cam, all the crew, isn't it?
Yeah, you could tell he wasn't stoked to win that way, and Cameron went up to him up underneath the tent behind the podium. Was like, "Hey, man, we'll take it however we can get it." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I know. I need water." That's all he wanted was to cool off. He was pretty smoked, and I think I was more stoked for Cam than anybody, dude. And I said, "Are you gonna go kind of rub it in with Christian, Jet's mechanic, when you get back?" He goes, "I ain't messing with that boy. That's just gonna backfire." I mean, that guy, I nicknamed him Greedy because he's always getting all those wins. But yeah, it was really, really good to see those guys win, and I was glad I was there to see it. When you're that close to everything in the sport, it's really neat to be there when somebody has their first win or first podium, or any substantial moments. So that was really, really cool. The whole thing with Jett, man, that was crazy. I was the only one down at the end of the start filming the start, and so I'm the only one who got that angle of Jett coming straight in, and I always kind of pick a rider to lock in on, and I don't usually choose Jett. I'll pick somebody else, and I'm like, I'm gonna pick Jett, and he hit that gate, and I was like, oh, whoa, he screwed up. Holy shit, that's gonna be a good little reel. Little did I know, or little did anybody know that he was gonna get that penalty. And man, people are going nuts about that, and that's the one thing I hate about having a media page is everybody will message us and complain about it, and I'm like, what the fuck you want me to do about it?
Yeah, I know it's not really
Okay.
something in your control, is it?
Yeah,
I guess, what did you personally think of it? Obviously, a lot of opinions, like you said, both points of view.
I think it was pretty damn harsh.
It
But
was.
at the same time, if I was J Bone and Mike and I opened up the rule book and my understanding is another team brought it to their attention that it was an issue. So when it's brought to their attention, they have to address it, right?
Mm.
And when you look at it and you go, well, it says here if he was ahead, this is the penalty, and he was technically ahead. And if you don't hold him accountable to what the written rule is, then you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. If you hold them accountable, you're damned. If you don't hold them accountable, then you didn't follow the rules and this and that. So the only choice is to follow the rule book, and it is what it is. Now, would I be surprised if there's a rule change this year going into 26? I bet you they address that one and give themselves a little more operating room. But yeah, I don't fault Mike or Jeremy or Ezra or any of those guys with the AMA for the decision. I mean, if it's a written rule and it says, hey, if this happens, this is the consequence. That's what the writing is. You're not much of an official if you don't hold him to task. As shitty as the penalty was, I mean, you kind of got to do what you got to do. And it's a lesson learned for everybody moving forward, I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, the penalty is essentially for gaining an advantage, and that certainly wasn't the case because he wouldn't usually start 23rd, was it, mate? You can see Jett and Lars, the team manager, were so angry because, they brought things to their, attention in past, like riders cutting tracks and doing other things, and it hasn't gone in their favor. And then they have this one, and it goes against them. So they feel a bit, I guess, victimized by it. And I guess the punishment doesn't really fit the crime in that one, mate. So. I guess that looks like it's just a hard and fast rule. The one lap penalty is what you get for something like that if they deem it to be, not within the rules, mate. So crazy for them, mate. But I suppose you want to add anything to that. But Jett's riding was pretty amazing as well. On another weekend, he could have had the win there, and super impressive as well the way he dissected that track and hit some of those big sections, mate. So masterclass, but definitely not happy with it, was he?
Oh no, he's more pissed off than a alley cat. He was just riding like a madman. A 3-1 would have got it done, and I got the penalty, right? So he did seem a little relieved on the weed show that he didn't have to go do press. He's just chilling on the back of the buggy, talking to Cameron and Christian. He kind of relieved on that, and probably half stoked that his brother got a win, but I don't see him not smashing Unadilla. I think he's going to come out and just lay waste to people.
Yeah, mate. It's going to be coming out firing for sure. It's going to be a good track. And just on the topic of Unadilla, mate, what are your thoughts on it? Some brutal roofs going on there. Pretty cool place, though. All things considered, another great event on the calendar, mate. So you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I've actually never shot Unadilla. I've been there just to do media when I first started with David. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. Like to the point where I changed my flight the other night to go in Thursday night so that I can it's an hour and a half from Syracuse to the track, but I'm gonna go down and do press day and then go back crash and then go back for the race day. But I just want to spend some time filming. That place is so iconic. To me, that's the most iconic track in America. Everybody says it's Redbud, but for me, from when I was a little kid, it was always Unadilla that I wanted to see. And God, I wish they would you at least do the start a grass start. I don't think leaving the weeds 3 foot tall like they used to is feasible in today's modern racing, but it'd be kind of cool to see the start still be grass. That'd be another little curveball to throw at the guys because that'd be like riding on an ice skating ring, and you get muddy, wet grass, it'd be ice skating ring. So that could be pretty interesting thing. But I really want to shoot sky shot. I just want to sit at the bottom with my telephoto lens and just catch those guys just going ape shit on press day, So it'll be cool.
No, you'll be dialed, mate. And obviously, some other heavy hitters you'll be looking out for there. Obviously, Chase Sexton had an epic first moto, and then obviously you've mentioned the crash as well, which was a disaster for him. But pretty amazing how he walked away from that one again. Like he's had some massive hits, and he's just so strong and physically sort of able to take those hits, mate. So it's impressive that he was all right after that because that was huge. And he literally made that pass, and he had the win for a matter of moments, and then it was sort of taken away from him there. But really good battling with Jett in that first one. He looked up for it. He wasn't letting him pass. So I guess that's a good takeaway for a bit of confidence for him, even though it didn't end out the way he wanted.
Yeah, I he left the bike down at the corner going back onto the start straight on the inside, walked off the track and went back up, packed his shit and split, didn't talk to the team, nobody, dude. So yeah, he was not a very happy camper. I wouldn't want to been around him at all, and to be a fly on the wall for when he talks to the team. That conversation probably went about as well as letting a fart go in church. So uh, it's going to be an interesting week at Unadilla for sure.
Yeah, mate. Obviously, big props to RJ getting second overall, first 450 outdoors podium. His rise continues this season. It's been on the cards for a little while, but he puts himself in those positions to make the most of the other guys having a rough day. And he's got all the commitment, the belief in himself. So another great day for RJ, mate. Definitely deserved it. And his riding's been elite, consistent all season, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. RJ's just a savage, dude. Nothing else you can say about it. He's going to hurt some people's feelings in the coming years, and I do believe he will be a race winner. I mean, if you count RJ Hampshire out, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely well said, mate. And obviously, Tomac had a bit of a bizarre day, but he was obviously unwell, which, the wide sort of media, by the sound of it, wasn't made aware of until afterwards. So, lack of transparency in those situations does lead to speculation when you have a performance like that in the first moto. But really impressive to get a podium nonetheless from Eli. The starts were dialed, mate. And how excited are you for that? Obviously, the Motocross of Nations team officially announced Sexton, Tomac, Deegan. It's going to be awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. That first moto, I'm like, wonder what RJ's doing in October, and uh, Tomac was really stoked on it, but I wonder if he really was sick. If he had an injury or something, they would never tell you, and maybe he just said he was sick. But Talon got a photo or a video of him going into the woods section I posted where he gets kicked up and you can see kind of just tweaks his lower back real quick and then kind of stops and throws his head at the sky and is like, was he just frustrated that he blew a fast lap or did that hurt like hell and it affected him the first moto and then he went and got a Toradol shot the second moto and was a little better. So who knows? But I don't know. My intuition, my instincts say there's a little more to it than he was sick. He looked just fine on Friday.
Keep an eye on that one, mate. Hopefully, Unadilla's a good one for ET3, mate, because the fans certainly love him. And yeah, when they hit that form ahead of the nations, don't they? And also Prado, mate, much better weekend for him. Obviously, said that he found a bit more comfort with the bike. They made some changes. He didn't look quite as ragged. He looked a bit more smoother this week. Looked like he was pushing the bike to the absolute limit. So maybe a little bit of mental and sort of tangible things to take away there, mate. So hopefully a little bit more positives on the horizon. What was your take on Prado? Riding was better and getting pretty close to fourth overall. I think J Coop made that pass and to drop him back to fifth, but still a good weekend of progress.
Yeah, I interviewed him. I haven't even posted it yet, but I interviewed him down on the line for press day, and it was just kind of a good mental reset to go out to Havasu and have some fun with Juju and those guys, and just get to kind of decompress, and maybe that's just all the guy needed. And there's all these talks about him going to KTM and riding for bonuses, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think why would you turn down $1 million a year plus money to go ride for bonuses just because you don't like the bike? I mean, if they'll figure that bike out, I just think it's a lot of speculation and bullshit and smoke and mirrors. I think the guy just needed a little bit of a break to reset. He never got the time to really put in the hours on the bike before we went outdoors. And I think it just showed. And, when you're two-time world champion and not an American, and you come over here, I think people expect more from you and are quick to kick the shit out of you, because you're not from here, right? So I think everybody just needs to chill out. I think Jorge or George or whoever you want to call him is going to be just fine.
Yeah, mate, the talent, the skill, the starts are always there usually. So yeah, he's got all the framework to keep going on, and it'll be interesting to see how he comes up in SMX too, mate. How are excitement levels for SMX, mate? Is there much chatter going around by the media crew you travel around with? Is excitement building, or are you just sort of getting through the season, mate? Because it's a long one for you lads too.
Yeah, just getting through the season. Nobody's really brought up SMX yet. I do like that round at Charlotte. It's a unique, interesting layout. Be kind of stoked to get out there and see. I mean, you're kind of married to the drag strip. I changed up Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas will be a lot better than it was. I wasn't a big fan of the layout of Las Vegas last year, and it looks like they moved things around to make it a little more friendly for the fans and the riders. But I think the one I'm most stoked to see is to go into the dome at St. Louis. I really want to see what they do with that.
Yeah, it's
That's
going to
gonna
be
be
cool,
interesting.
mate.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. There's some pretty cool stuff in the horizon. Obviously, getting through these last two is kind of the aim. But is there any other things from the 450 class or 250s? Obviously, the Aussie crew with the quad lock Honda that Yuriv Konski runs. Obviously, they didn't have the ideal day. Obviously, they raced the week before in Australia, sort of in pretty cold winter temperatures. And then to come over there to that was pretty hard. And obviously, Webster overheated. Connolly had his issues with the heat, but young fella Kingsford got an injury. So tough for them, mate, but a great experience and a little bit of a, with Webster racing the nations, pretty cool for him to have a ride of that track before he hits it up, defending champions Australia with the Lawrence brothers. So, it's your take on anything else, mate?
Oh, I was pretty stoked for having McElrath back and Fernandez back. Just having more guys on the gate was cool. The one thing I really was stoked about is the WMX, dude. I definitely like that they held the second moto on Saturday. It's kind of rough as a filmer because we don't get that intermission time to download and post and take a break, but I'll take one for the team to go out and film the girls. And Lala is just an absolute savage, dude. You just can't you can't ignore how good that girl is, right? And Michaela's damn good, and she's getting there, and Kylie Stallings, and we get Mela Herrick when she gets a little older. She'll get in there and she'll be a force to be reckoned with. And Jordan Jarvis, the girls these days are damn good. And I really think they need to move the whole program to the Saturday race program. I really do. And I'd like to see WMX at every round instead of doing six of them. Do all 11,
That'll be
and
next
then
on the cards.
yeah, and then when you get a little more time under their belts, for when they do the SMX next Supercross stuff, maybe on press day start running a women's Supercross race during the season. Started out 5-6 rounds on press day. You do press day, and then there's a WMX Supercross, right? And then, if that takes off and gets traction, then you move that into the Saturday program a couple of years down the road. There's so many girls riding now. I think it'd be great for the sport to have a women's class in Supercross as well, full
Yeah, there's
time.
definitely a lot of scope for growth, isn't there, mate?
Yeah, yeah. Charlie Cannon's a badass. All of them. Yeah, I think it'll be really, really good.
Yeah, mate, the future's bright for that side of things too. And obviously the SMX next futures combine, that's all going in a good direction. So we'll watch that as it develops over the years, mate. And before we wrap up, what's happening with you, mate? Any final thoughts? The Whiskey Throttle crew punching out the content, all going good for a strong end of the season.
Yeah, I gotta get some content out today. I didn't do anything really Sunday or yesterday, but I needed a little break. So I'm going to go through and put some stuff together and have a little fun and just chill and get ready to head back out the door on Thursday.
No, awesome, mate. You'll have a blast at Unadilla, and thanks again for taking the time to join us on this one. Obviously, massive shout out to not only you, but also the sponsors, In Fly Racing, Firepower Dirt Store, Fuchs Silkaline, for all their incredible support, as without them, none would be possible. Big shout out to the fans as well, and obviously, thanks again, mate. Been another Ripper podcast. Good to get you back on, and all the best for Unadilla, and we'll catch up next week.
Yeah, buddy, we'll check you out.
No worries, mate. Have a good one.